Okay, I'm going to try again here. I've been feeling called to do these meditations live every once in a while. And I'm just trying to get the hang of this here. So, starting by centering, coming in center, connecting into the breath. And part of what is happening now at this time within this time space of the earth, as this light is beginning to come in, we are recognizing that we are being called to higher and higher connection to our own light. And part of what makes this so challenging is that we have never connected fully to our own light through bodies in this way. And so there is this sense that we should know what we are doing, we should know how to do this, and yet we are all figuring this out as we go along. And it's these still moments, these quiet moments as we connect into our hearts and into our center, where we can feel and commune with the purity of the light in this way. And so, this is why it is important to keep coming back to center, because this essence, this clarity and purity of our connection does not exist beyond, outside of ourselves. So it is this refining that we are having to go through at this time. And so, as we start to settle and become centered, one of the things we start to notice is all of this jumpiness or prickliness. You can even feel it just in your skin, or it may come in as thoughts and concerns. It's like there is static in the radio station. This is all of the distortion. It's all of the negativity and all of the programming. And the biggest challenge with this is that this has been here with us for our entire lives. So, through the body, through the human mind, we don't truly know what it is to exist without this. So, it is this separation now that we are going through, this unbecoming, as we often say, to release all of this programming. Because there is this inner calling, and we know these moments when we are still, when we are quiet, when we have that strong intuition that blows through us. And yet oftentimes what happens is we become afraid because we are unfamiliar with this deep, deep clarity. We are not used to being able to connect in so strongly with this clarity in a way that it sticks, in a way that it becomes the wholeness of who we are. It feels very fleeting. And yet these are the wings of truth. These are the moments of pure connection with our essence. And it feels fleeting because it is the negativity and the distortions that come in then to almost surround and infiltrate. So our job and our work is to start to recognize these patterns when this happens, and to stay with the truth just long enough that we overturn just a bit each time that negativity. We sit just a moment longer to allow the truth and the clarity to take hold, to be in the forefront of our minds rather than the programming. It is a bit like meditation where they say start with just a minute or two. Don't try and go for the full 20 minutes. It's the same thing with our inner knowing and intuition. If we can, when we get these hits of knowing, to stop and to honor this, to breathe into this, to recognize this and say, okay, this is what it feels like to be within my truth. And to consciously say, I'm going to stay here for just a moment longer. And then I'm going to start to notice the energies that come in to blow this out of my field, to somehow cover over. It's as if a fog comes in and then we lose that clear connection. So this is not you as a person being unable to hold into your truth or being unable to stay in meditation long enough. This is the programming. This is the negativity. We were born into it. That feels natural and normal. We're told that it's natural and normal to have this monkey mind or to doubt ourselves, when in truth, that is just what has been learned. That is what has been accepted as truth. We come to see more and more as we are each going through our own experiences that it is not about gaining outer knowledge. It's not about knowing the ins and outs of all of these controlling programs. This is not even important. What is vital is connecting internally to our own truth. And yet, there are stages that we go through, stages of awareness, stages of awakening, stages of remembering, and these will occur in many different ways. And we also incur them in many different ways. So it is all a part of our path and our journey. So we're just going to speak a little bit from our own perspective before we start to deepen in a bit more. And this is to say that on my journey specifically, it's been a whirlwind of confusion, delusion, loss of identity. I think there is a typical path when we start to become aware and we start to awaken. It's to start to figure out what the secrets are. So much of this world talks about the secrets that have been kept from humanity, the hidden texts, the lost texts, parts of history that were erased, that cannot be remembered by the collective. And so we start searching and digging and looking to see if we can find, to see if we can discover, what are we missing? What do we not know about all of this? And where is our place in all of this? This is a very mental journey we start to delve into in the name of remembering who we are, in the name of perhaps spirituality, and in the name of what is called in many places this ascension journey. And while that is an important phase, oftentimes it is more of a side trap, a side door that we walk through that keeps us out in these realms of the conspiracy theories, the realms of information. And while it can be helpful to know ultimately that there are things that are beyond our control in this earthly realm that we are having to contend with, For myself, the truth of it is that yes, these things do exist. And yet all of that is designed to keep us from communing with ourselves. It is designed to keep us from coming inside into connecting to our intuition. And that seems to be the bottom line. Because it can be scary when we have these emotions and feelings that come up and we think, where is this coming from? What's happening to me? And oftentimes it is, more than anything, it is these programs and energies coming up to be released from within us. Because this is the time that we are in. This is the time of the great releasing. And yet, based on all that we have read, all of that we have seen, all of that which we have connected to, we somehow think something awful is happening. Something is trying to take us over. What is really happening is that this is coming up for us to see the truth of. So most times we do not need anything more than to sit and to notice and to ask, what do we need to know amongst this disturbance within us? But yet we understand these feelings are intense and they can be scary. And so it is not beyond us to need to seek out advice and assistance, to connect with others who are experiencing the same energies, the same journey. But the base of it all is that we return to the self. And this is because of all that we hear out there beyond us, makes it even more challenging. That we find over and over the safest place to land is within the self. So we're just going to start to take a deep breath in and start to settle as we come into the space of what we would call the original wounding or the original implanting from this particular life we are living in this moment. We find this in the base of the hips, this pelvic area, the joints of the legs, the top of the legs here, into the lower back, this whole range here. And so sometimes it is beneficial if you have something to sit on, to put under your hips. It raises the hips just slightly into a different position. As there may be discomfort that starts to arise, that we even hold the body in a different way, where we start to become more aware of the programming that resides within the body. So this lower base area here where we sit, even up into the womb space. And see, even as we start to tap into the body, it starts to raise this confusion in the mind. The mind starts to freak out. The whole body starts saying, I don't understand. I don't know. Where's this going? What am I missing? How did I not know? All of these thoughts come up. This is what we often say when we try to connect and we say, oh, I get lost. I get confused. I can't do this. It's not you. It's all of the distortion within the body. Knowing that the programming, yes, even though it may come from the external, because we are human, because we were born through these forms, it does in fact reside with us here. So it's not about trying to necessarily fight through the distortion and the confusion that arises. It's to understand that this is what is coming up. And this is normal in the sense that as you tap into your light, these things will start to protest. They will say, no, you're going in a direction that we are uncomfortable with. And yet the goal is to continue, as we said, to breathe just a second longer, to stay tapped into your light just a moment forward beyond where you have been before. And to not go into fear as these energies arise. Because this is the pattern, and that is the goal of the energies, is to get you to back off, to get you to walk away from your own light. And it really is about moving forward in this direction, moving beyond. We take one step further each time to become more and more comfortable through the discomfort. It is reintroducing ourselves to ourselves at a deeper and deeper level. And this is the pattern that we experience every day of this lifetime. As the fears and insecurities arise, it's not to ask what is wrong, it's to ask what is being received through the awareness of the body and what is being released. And to always pull up the light, call up the light to assist in this manner, to stay present within the light just a moment longer. Because as these energies come up here through the hips and through the stomach, it brings up two extremes. One extreme is our own birthing process. If you have ever had this experience through this journey where it feels like all is too much, where it feels like this level of frustration you cannot imagine ever getting beyond, this feeling of this primordial rage or this primordial scream that wants to come out. This is part of what you experienced when you were birthed into this world. That first cry as an infant. And the other extreme of this is all of the sexual programming that has been placed in this area. So notice that the purity and the innocence of the womb, of the infant, this is where our power and our light reside within the body. It has also been overlaid with this extreme control through the sexual distortion, this taboo subject, all the fears, all the insecurities that arise because of this, from this topic, this subject of sexuality. The act of co-creation has been completely distorted, and the discord that lies within this area, which is supposed to be our centers of power. So there is an enormous polarity in this space within the physical body. So to know that this discomfort, this agitation, perhaps you're feeling to move, it's hard to sit still. It's no surprise that this is coming up. It's no surprise that we have a hard time meditating and sitting within our own stillness. The very thing we are trying to reach is overlaid with the highest level of discord. So let us just deepen into this space here and now as we open through the hip joints, open through these joints within the legs, this flexibility, what should feel like a haven, the space of incubation, of growth, where ideas are formulated and birthed, those intuitive and creative, spontaneous sparks of light that grow from within us. This sacred space of our being, reclaiming this for ourselves in this life. Just noticing the enormous flushing of energies that comes with this. We always say that if we want to reclaim our light, are we aware of all of the things we have to let go of? And this is not to say that we are losing anything. We are releasing, but the programming has become so comfortable. When this releases, we find ourselves in a place of discomfort, and this is often what will scare us off. Believing that the discomfort is somehow negative, and yet this is exactly where we should be. I'm being called to these feminine tones, the feminine ranges of the body now. This is of particular it's particularly sensitive for the female body because of the level of destruction that has occurred for her through the human body. Now, whether we are male or female, we would hold this remembrance and this knowing within our energies. And this is to say that as a female, it is unsafe to open up. It is unsafe to be in this vulnerable state. And because of the distorted connection of our creational energy to the sexual energies, it is through this programming, through the sexuality, that we are over and over directed into these places of almost restricting our own creation, our own openness, because it's as if it is backflowing through the sexuality. So we are coming in a way, reverse engineering this process to release. As we release out of these overlays of the sexual programming, of the body programming, of the programming that we associate with these areas within the body themselves. Don't go there, don't touch there, don't think about there. All of these things have implications on our light and our power. So we'll just start to focus. We can even start to focus just at these joints of the legs that connect in through the pelvis area. We could start to focus light there. We can even imagine light now starting to build between the legs as it arises up through the body here. We don't have to get so close as we feel uncomfortable, but we allow the light presence and we allow ourselves to start to heal, knowing that we are seen and protected. That spirit is very much deeply aware of the injustice that has gone on here within the body in these areas. And so even if we do not feel to get specific for ourselves, these travesties that we have endured whether in this lifetime or through the memories of past lives and past experiences. We know that we are held through spirit, through the tone, of the primordial, of the all that is. Source can feel at some times deeply impersonal. When we have to come into these spaces, and yet this is where we can choose to connect to specific tones, these earthly realms, what we might even call fairies or elven tones. They are magical, but they are also very much about the interconnection with the human form and the human body. There are very specific sequences of energies that are here to help. There are very specific conglomerations of energies that have been designed and created and taken on this mission of assisting the human form to release through these exact combinations of distortion. So you are not alone in going through this process. And these deep heart cries that are being felt through your specific body, you may not even know what these are in relation to. These are often the screams that we feel. We need to scream into pillows. We need to smother and stifle the level of tragedy, violation that we feel. And we don't even know why we are experiencing this. But because we are within these human forms, we hold these bodies, it is present here. It has been here since your inception in this form. So to recognize that the things that you feel, there's a reason you feel them. And it is okay to feel them. It is important to feel them. And then it is of utmost importance to recognize that we are feeling them because they are releasing. So to not become entrapped by them. To honor the body, to honor the beauty of the body. Even if up to this point we have had a less than desirable relationship with our bodies, this is okay. And just start to connect back into the heart space, to fill the heart. Conscious awareness of the light here now. This ever-loving presence. That wants to speak through us. Because this is who we are. This is us. In this moment, as we have spoken, to not become afraid of our own presence, of our own light, to sit with this for just a moment longer. As you practice this, as you become comfortable with your own light, that will feel more and more natural. You will welcome this more and more easily. You will allow this to override all else that flares up and comes in to try to shut this down. As always, we have enjoyed connecting in this way. I wish you so many blessings, leaving you in peace and joy. Namaste.